My biggest dream, I think like all other kids, you either wanted to be one of three things, right?
Yes.
Either a doctor, a lawyer, or a teacher. Yeah?
Good today, better tomorrow.
99 FM, we have our royal hustler here, ready and waiting, Ockert Jansen. Well, we know him during his TV days and in the media, but today, today he is with us. He's serving right now as the Marketing, Corporate Communications and Client Service Management Executive at the Namibian Business and Intellectual Property Authority, which is BIPA. And he joins us in studio to share his career journey and just fill us up with the latest development that's happening there by BIPA. Good morning, Ockert. How are you?
I'm well. Good morning. Are
so
you good?
nice. I'm good. I'm just excited to have you.
It's been a minute.
I know. Yeah. I know. And you're glowing. I know. COVID is treating you well. Né? With you, COVID is treating you well. You must give us all the secrets and all the things.
Yeah.
But before we knew you as, you know, when you were on TV and in the media, you were an unknown, and you were growing up as a little munchkin, but where? We don't know. So give us a backstory. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born? Where were you raised? And what was that like for you?
Thank you. You know, I think my story resonates with so many other Namibians because there's nothing different. And I think it should serve as a story of hope and inspiration.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in the dusty streets of Katatura.
Hey.
My mother's street literally got tarred, I think, about 3 years ago. So imagine.
No, that was dusty.
It was dusty. Yeah. I have the marks on my legs to show for it. Yeah, that's where we grew up. We grew up in Vanaheda, Soweto. Yeah. That is the area we grew up. And I grew up with three brothers, one older one, two younger ones. Yeah. And, you know, when I think back and reminisce about my days, what is nice and interesting about it is that I miss the days when we used to walk to Koreachap to go catch fish and come and braai it outside, and then my mother comes and it's 5 o'clock and you're like, hey. But I did not do anything. So yeah, that's how I grew up. I went to school at MH Greef, then I went to DHBS. I mean, it was tough times because very often you would walk from Vanaheda, you had to go to school early in the morning. I mean, it's nothing different from other Namibians that might have had the same type of lifestyle, yeah.
And you know, also, you know, growing up in the township, we're very much limited with the world until you expand yourself and so forth. So during those dusty years, those fishing at the dam years, what could have been your biggest dream even?
My biggest dream, I think like all other kids, you either wanted to be one of three things, right?
Yes.
Either a doctor, a lawyer, or a teacher. Yeah. But for me, I veered more towards the legal part. I was always argumentative. My mother used to say in Afrikaans, "It's a pot vir elke deksel," you know. And it's then when I realized, but you know what? I actually have a talent in speaking, you know, and not only speaking, in reasoning. And sometimes, as all children do, manipulating. You know? That's what children knows best. Yeah, I think they have a PhD in manipulation.
So
how did
you find yourself then in the media sphere?
Yeah, so shortly after finishing, I went to Jan Moore.
Yeah.
And then my parents couldn't afford tertiary education for me. But then I had an aunt of mine that said, but this child is too bright. He cannot just be at home. Because that time now I was there zulaing for work, you know. The best thing was that I could just find a part-time job to assist at home. And then my aunt said, no, you know what? You always had an interest in the media. You as a child, you were interested and was doing holiday jobs at the NBC. You need to go study something in that field. Okay. So she enrolled me at the College of the Arts, and I went to go study television production.
Okay.
And I think I must have impressed upon my head of department then, because just a year into my studies, the NBC was recruiting.
Oh, wow.
And I think they were looking for talented people from the college. And there I was. My name was given in, and I got a job. it was surreal, but it was really what I wanted. Yeah.
Isn't it such a beautiful thing to have someone who supports you and sees your potential? Like first your aunt, then your lecturers, and just to have that support system who sees you and you're like, let's try this thing for you, man.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
that is why I believe in the philosophy of paying forward today.
Oh, wow.
Because I know that there were a lot of people that pushed me because they wanted to see something different, and that is why I always try to also push other people.
True. Let's put a pin in that for just a little bit. We're just going to pay the bills, and then we will be right back. 99 FM Burner Boy there saying Omo, and we have our royal hustlers still that grew up in the dusty towns of Vanaida. It got paved only 3 years ago. I don't man. And yeah, we're talking about his background and just having a great support system that sees your potential and believes in you and helps you make your dream come true. That's Ockert Jansen who's here with us. So let's start with how you stay on top of your game, because been in the media field. For media now, you have such an amazing position there at BIPA, marketing, corporate communications and client service management, which sounds like a lot. So how are you managing to really always stay on top of your game?
You constantly have to reinvent yourself. I think that's important in our industry.
Yeah.
You should know that. And you can never become complacent. So there are two things. You have to constantly innovate, and I think you also have to keep abreast of the latest trends in the media, communications, marketing industry. I always say that I'll be a student for life. So I've constantly been studying. I'm currently finalizing my PhD in media studies, focusing on access to information. So it's basically an intersection between communications and law. And wherever you go within the corporate world, you have to leave a mark. I always say it's not about getting the money. I've never chased money.
Money, yeah.
I've always said that if I die tomorrow, what legacy do I leave for my kids and for the country? People should be able to say, but you know what? That guy transcended, in leaps and bounds, and he was able to, bring changes at various institutions that he was.
Yeah.
So that is basically how I stay abreast. I always say that I cannot be at an institution and not have an impact. Shortly before starting at BIPA, I was at the judiciary.
Oh, wow.
Where I was head of PR, but I was also the spokesperson. And prior to getting there, my media colleagues told me that, you know what, we just can't get a breakthrough into the judiciary. It's so difficult to get information. And that's where I realized, I need to put in a strategy that would be able to give access to information
Easily and
not
faster.
only to the media, but also to the people out
Yeah.
there. And that is why, as of 2018, you would have seen that we started broadcasting and streaming live court cases.
Yes.
And making sure that it's more accessible to people, etc., etc. So that is something that I'm proud of, to say, you know what, I left that mark there.
Yeah, you definitely
that is what is
did.
important. That's how I stay abreast of my game, by always trying to be impactful wherever I am.
And especially with the market that you're in, like marketing, PR, communication, it's ever evolving. It's never stagnant. There's always something new that's coming in, always a new way of doing things. So you really have to stay abreast of things. Now, in terms of BIPA is running a campaign aimed at creating awareness of the statutory compliance of submitting annual returns. What is the importance really of these returns?
So let me quickly speak about the campaign. So this is the first time, again, like I said earlier, it's about leaving a mark. I came in, I realized that, we talk about wanting to get people to be compliant, but there's nothing out there. There's no information. So how do we get to do that? Draw up a campaign, conceptualize it, and put it out there. Our campaign is called Good Standing is Good Business. And it's centered around a general compliance of businesses. So there are a lot of business owners, and I know probably you and Mo, you also own a CC here and there.
Sole proprietor.
Yeah. So, but a lot of people out there, they say that they don't know about their obligations as business owners.
True.
And that is what we're trying to do with this campaign, trying to bring to the fore what are the obligations of business owners and why it's important that you need to comply. Just like any other regulated industry, the same is for businesses. So we are out there telling people that they need to submit their statutory submissions on a yearly basis, of which annual duties are one of the most important ones. We also have some interesting competitions running where people can win smart TVs, personal development books, etc., etc. Maybe, just maybe, we might do a bit more for young entrepreneurs.
Please, dog, we're the ones that needed the most, fella. We're the ones that need the push. And especially with, like you said, what is required as a newly minted entrepreneur. You are thrown into the deep end, it's a sink or swim, and you just don't know, and you're figuring it out as you go along. So to have something like this, I said, hey, here's what is needed. It makes things so much easier to navigate the sphere of entrepreneurship and business.
True.
Yeah.
And BIPA, we don't only do business registration, we also do intellectual property.
Okay.
And a lot of, especially those in the art industry, in the creative industry, don't know the importance of, for instance, IP, such as copyright, trademarks. Just like 99 FM, are you trademarked? Do you have a trademark, for instance? We have a lot of disputes on a daily basis where people come and say, but that name belongs to me. No, it belongs to me. And even if you've used it for 10 years and someone else comes and registers a trademark, basically it belongs to them.
Yeah.
And that is also something that we're trying to push with a trademark and a copyright campaign coming up later this year.
All right. I just want to take you back a little bit to competitions, because we like those. Because you are running the competition for business owners. You're trying to encourage them to stay, paid up with their annual returns. So with the competition, how do we enter and how do we go about that?
Sure. So, of course, you need to be paid up in terms of your annual duties. If you are, you'll be able to get a good standing certificate, and then, of course, participate in national tender processes. But once you are paid up, all you need to do is SMS BIPA followed by your registration number and SMS that to 2929. Of course, it's only one entry per registered business.
It's not that kind of a competition about you can register as many times as you like.
No. We're trying to save them money. We're trying to save. We know it's tough times, eh? It's tough times. Yeah. So
and so from before I let you go, from BIPA's side, for any questions that an entrepreneur, business owner has, how do they get in touch? What do they need to do?
They can contact us on our email address, which is PR@BIPA, PR standing for Public Relations at BIPA.NA, or alternatively, they can follow us on social media. That's BIPA_Namibia, or on Facebook or on Twitter at BIPA Namibia, and we'll be able to assist them. We also have a website, that's www.bipa.na, where all the information regarding business registration, intellectual property is. And of course, they can catch us on shows such as The Royal Hustler.
Hey, that's what we do. Okay, thank you so much for coming.
Sure.
And if we have any kind of questions, I'm sure we can just, dial up BIPA there and get you on the line quickly because, like I said, startups and SMEs, a lot of questions navigating their way through. So we really appreciate having you.
Thanks for having me.
And that was our Royal Hustler for this morning, Ockert Jansen, serving as the Marketing, Corporate Communications and Client Service Management Executive at BIPA, and was joining us in studio just to help us along in terms of what you need to do as a startup or even as a business owner in terms of the statutory compliance and submitting your annual returns, all of the information that you need there. For any questions, PR@bipa.na. That's PR@bipa.na.